Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin the Stew for Bruce. We're here in Crusader Kings 3 once more with you all for another time lapse. This time, we're taking a suggestion from the Discord. This comes from Trophy. Give some random, either small republics, barons, or counts, or unlanded characters immortality and 100 stats, and some big claims for their neighbor titles, and see how they do and if they can make their own realms. Gone ahead and given 6 characters immortality. We've spread them across the land. East, south, west, north, all those directions, and we're going to see how well they do. Predictions wise, usually in 1066, Catholics are the most powerful amongst the people out there. They'll be the most prolific, but with Immortals involved, everything gets a little wibbly wobbly. So we're going to say either Ashari or maybe even Biddic being the most prolific religion. We'll see how that goes down in this time lapse. Out of the 6 that we have in the game, I think about half will survive. Usually they get got via murder plots or just random events that kill them off. So 3 out of the 6 will survive. And lastly, I think the most powerful nation will be obviously the HRE, because every one of them has a claim on it, as well as some other neighboring lands. So with that out of the way, let's see how well these immortal counts get up to. About 728 years in the future, and a lot of things have changed. We made this one run much longer just because I was not satisfied with what happened earlier on. Usually you see the Immortals do some pretty good stuff, but this is more of the action I feel I wanted to see. First and foremost, I believe we have the Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. Nope, it is still the Holy Roman Empire. It is the Anazid Empire. I wonder how he came about this land. Conquered by claimant. Okay, so it looks like at one point installed by factions. I was wanting to see if any other Immortals had been installed by a faction or one way or another, but it looks like for the most part the last true Catholic emperor in 1422 or in 1458 died, and then came in the caliphate of the Mulwadi. Surprisingly enough, Mulwadism was the faith that they chose. Speaking of faith, let's look at faith itself. I said Ashuri was going to be the top one, but now that actually Ashuri is still top, but there is a lot more green than we are normally seeing. Catholicism has taken a big step back. Iceland, for whatever reason, Kingdom of England is still out there. That's 1 million troops, is that right there? Yep, that's about 1 million. I don't think I've ever seen 1 million troops in these games. Makes sense why the game pretty much stopped running after this point. So great. Let's look at culture real quick. I imagine there's going to be some grossness happening here just because of how long this is run, but no, it's actually pretty standard. I think this is not that crazy. No, yeah, Anglo-Saxon, no English to be had. Seemingly, though they've been under the yoke of a Mulwadi for this long, the only crazy thing really is that a lot of them haven't switched their faith, and are still battling against their liege, but are just too afraid because their liege has 1 million troops. Empire-wise, it looks like the Mongols came in, did their normal stuff. The Georgian Empire is big. The HRE is bigger. Yeah. Let's also quickly look at the breakdown of internal lands. It's always good to see how things are divided up. Looks like France and Bohemia, White Rus, Holland-Hungary. Denmark owns lots of swaths of land in Scandinavia. This kingdom, or it's not even a kingdom, it's a duchy. The other thing I forgot to mention is that we gave them increased domain so that the AI has a likely chance of holding onto more land and stuff like that. So that's why a duchy lord, for whatever reason, is so powerful with able to run this many duchies, that's quite a bit of duchies, and I don't think I've ever seen. He's more powerful than some people at a kingdom status, which is very interesting. Next, let us look at development. As is predicted, a lot more yellow across the board, but there are still some lands, such as these islands, that are yet to fully have the spread, which I wish Paradox would fix, that even if you were not touching them specifically, the islands would still get some of that love from next door neighbors having such high development. So like, how is it possible that this land has 100 development, but just slightly across the bay there's a land that is super undeveloped? Lastly, let's look at all of our immortals and see how many are still kicking, and it looks like 4, surprisingly enough. Looks like most of them are disfigured or blind or having some issue or another. Let's see if we can find what happened to some of our other boys and girls. Was murdered by Duke Murad Iba Mushin. Just straight up murdered. That's tough. At the ripe old age of 344. So that's 5. And then what about our representative out here? How did they get got? They must have been eaten alive by one of the Mongols or something, because I'm unable to find them. Let's do court languages one last time. Looks like Arabic is probably the most spoken, especially with them owning this. Shazturk has a pretty big block. Let's talk about what we've learned from this time lapse. Once again, when you add immortals to the process, especially with them having 100 stat, it becomes a easy terrain for one of them to bubble up to the top. It looks like they had controlled some of Persia, and then they took over Egypt, and then finally invaded all of the HRE. Is the HRE still on a voting system too, or is it seems it's clan, so I don't think they switched probably. There seems to be some that really do well compared to others. Always one seems to be turned into a god emperor of sorts over all the rest of the lands. It really cooks my computer at this point. I think we recorded up till 797, but the game kept crashing after that point and not really being able to continue just because the sheer amount of characters, I think, and then just the sheer amount of like soldiers. I don't think the game is allowed to run 1 million troops, but apparently it is currently happening. I imagine all of his army is constantly in the field over here. Yeah, this is insane. This is too many troops, too many things happening all at the same time, especially for them to how much money are they losing because of their army? So 35, like 3,000 gold a month, but still making a profit, which is absolutely insane. Empowering the AI to see what craziness they get up to. But I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, have a good rest of your day. Ciao.